Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the FN Rush TI 9mm suppressor. As you guys know, I'm pretty much 100% Patreon exclusive these days. This video that you're watching right now has already previously been seen by the Patreon community that I have, and they see the majority of the videos that you're not going to get here on YouTube. I still do release the occasional YouTube video for your guys' enjoyment, but almost all the content you're never going to see here is over on Patreon. So if you want to be a supporter, hop on over to Patreon, do a search for Sage Dynamics, and I'd love to have your support. Also, there's other cool things going on over there. I do a monthly challenge where there's always a really good prize for who shoots a drill of the month the best. And you're going to see way more videos over there than you are here. In fact, I generally put out about 2 videos a week, sometimes a little bit more. And I also have Learning Level, where I do instructional videos for people who are wanting to get more in-depth on perfecting their shooting performance and practice. If you don't want to be a supporter, no big deal. You're still going to see videos here. You're just not going to get all of them, and you're not going to get them as often. So let's get to a video on the FN Rush TI. Something you may not know about FN, they do periodically make suppressors. Generally, they don't see the light of day. They're specifically built for applications or contracts, or just for testing purposes for their own internal firearms, so they have control over the whole process. The Rush TI is one of 2 suppressors that FN released earlier this year. Now, for full disclosure, I am on FN's LE Pro staff, so I am not reviewing this suppressor. I want to be very clear about that. This is just a informational. Or as some people in the comment section are going to call it, oh, you're shilling. I don't think they know the definition of the word shill. I'm just providing you guys with information about something that exists and how I personally feel about it, but it is not, I repeat, not a review. So what you're getting is a 9mm caliber suppressor that is 7.3 inches in length with a tube diameter of 1.3, which is a little less diameter than you're used to seeing from 9mm caliber suppressors. Definitely not unique, but it is on the more rare side for a diameter that small. The materials, of course, are titanium, stainless steel, and aluminum, and it's coated with a high-temp Cerakote. Comes 1/2 by 28 threaded, which is your standard 9mm thread, with a booster assembly. The interesting thing right off the bat about the booster assembly is there's a Nielsen device. Obviously, you're good to go, ready to go. Throw it on a 9mm, you can go ahead, take it, and put it to work. If you want to run it on a submachine gun, you don't have to then remove the Nielsen device and put a spacer in there like you would with traditional suppressors. You just take an Allen wrench and go ahead and tighten down this Allen key right here, and that locks the Nielsen device in place, and you're able to shoot it as a fixed suppressor on your submachine guns, which I did quite a bit. So even though it's kind of handgun centric right out of the box, one bad thing about it is it's not necessarily hub compatible. So there's going to be some adapters, and I've got a lot of suppressor parts, so I end up with a lot of Lego issues, and I wasn't able to conjure up something that would necessarily work, except for I was able to use a Gemtech 3-lug on this. Same thread pattern, same size, and I was able to shoot it on a 3-lug. But you don't really have to do that as long as everything's threaded 1/2 by 28. You're going to be good to go in that regard. Now, one thing that some people are going to notice, and I think we've been spoiled in certain regards, is a lot of the suppressors out there are modular. So you're getting a 7-inch suppressor that can then be taken down to a 5.5 or even shorter length suppressor by removing a couple of the baffles, which increases the decibel, but it makes the can a little bit more maneuverable, if you will. And this, on a handgun, it's not cumbersome, but it's not as comfortable as a shorter can necessarily would be, regardless of weight. A little bit easier to maneuver because that's a whole lot of weight hanging off the front of the gun, a whole lot of gun hanging off the front of your grip. So me personally, I generally prefer modular cans, and I just take them down to their K configuration, and that's where I leave them. I don't generally run full-length 9mm suppressors just because the decibel savings generally isn't worth it. Generally isn't worth it. But it is a full length, and it's not modular. So that's just something, you just kind of have to be looking for. It is going to maximize the sound suppression for this particular suppressor, but you're not able to make it shorter, so you can sacrifice a little bit of decibel reduction for a little bit more maneuverability. I got the suppressor in. FN sent it to me because I'm on their LE Pro staff, and I ran it on pretty much everything, every handgun configuration, general accepted handgun configurations like striker fire, single action only, double action, single action, Berettas, things like that, and then put it on, as many submachine guns as I was willing to take to the range, and it's a fantastic performing suppressor. And again, this is completely subjective. Like I said, it's not a review, but I think that FN is coming out strong, and I'm happy to see them finally put their suppressors out to the mainstream. They also offer a 22 suppressor, which they named the Catch 22, that I've also been using. And 22 suppressors are a big favorite of mine because I shoot quite a bit of 22 for varmint control, but also just general plinking. As a 9mm suppressor, this thing fits really well into the category of 9mm suppressors are going to be more versatile across a wider degree of guns than some of the other offerings that are out there. And the fact that as long as you're not trying to get too weird with it, or you're not trying to make this 9mm suppressor work on everything, like 300 Black and 350 Legend and 9mm and 9mm handguns and 9mm submachine guns or PCCs, as long as you can thread 1/2 by 28, you're going to be good to go, and you don't have to worry about disassembling and changing out boosters. You can just go ahead and lock this thing down, and you're going to be good to go. So from a performance standpoint, I've been really happy with TI. I put it through a lot of paces. It's something that I want to review. I want to give it that full 2,000 round block information video that I normally do in my reviews, but this is not something I can necessarily do because well, you're just not supposed to do that. Definitely is a conflict of interest in a lot of regards. So my general feelings on the performance is the can has been fantastic. The only thing I personally don't care for is the fact that it's not modular. I would like to be able to take it down to a shorter length because that's what I do with almost every 9mm suppressor I get. So I guess I've been spoiled in that regard, in the fact that most 9mm suppressors are going to come like that, and the TI doesn't. But material strength, I mean, I've run this thing really hard. I haven't noticed any change of tone or any heating issues or any discoloration of the cerakote coat, any issues with the booster assembly. Everything has performed fantastically. I took it down initially when I first got it and got some good lubrication there in the spring assembly, the booster assembly, put it back together, and I've run it. Even though this isn't a 2,000 round review, I'm well over 2,000 rounds at this point across various guns, various calibers, and it's just performed. It's a fantastic suppressor. It doesn't make, and I think this might just be, it might be particular to the guns that I chose to shoot it with, but I don't have to really play with any spring weight. Everything's performing fine because pistol suppressors can create gun issues on handguns, cycling issues, feeding issues, things like that, especially length or weight in regards to the spring and the Nielsen device and all these other moving parts that are involved in the process. Some handguns don't like to be suppressed as readily as others. Some suppressors are going to work better on certain types of guns than other types of guns. But running it on FN, Glock, SIG, Beretta, Staccato performed fine, so no complaints there. So if you're curious about the Rush TI, this is kind of what you're getting. It's, I don't want to say no frills, but it's a very simple, very direct, very reasonably priced suppressor that's going to get you into that category of pistol suppressor, but also general use PCC/submachine gun suppressor very easily. Till next time, Patreons, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, train accordingly.